put an Australian perspective on this that I find quite interesting. A couple of days ago, a very interesting poll here revealed that 2/3 of Australians are truly shocked by what's happened in the Ukraine, and it's been a giant wake-up call. They see it as a serious threat to global security. But 3/4 see China as an even greater threat. So in a sense, I think they're starting to see clearly that we are at a very dangerous tipping point globally, as I see it anyway. Can we just tease out, Putin must have been very surprised. In fact, I'm very surprised where I sit in Australia, that the Europeans have got their act together a bit, and Germany in particular has been prepared to really take some big risks, with the pipeline, the gas pipeline being suspended, saying they will double defence spending, that their military is not ready, they want to get it into shape. What I'm really driving at here is that it seems to me that if there's one thing that Americans, I take it, still broadly agree on, is that China is the number one threat. They're agreed that China is a problem. For years, I think a lot of thinking Americans have said the Europeans and NATO need to step up and do more for themselves. Is there a prospect that they will do that and leave America in particular free to focus on keeping the Pacific stable?
That would be the hope. And there's a great euphoria here on both sides of the aisle. People are making grandiose claims that now Europe is taking defense seriously, and that Putin has been a great gift because all the jawboning of Presidents Clinton and Obama and Bush and Trump could not achieve as much as in 12 or 16 years than Putin did in just a week. And there's some truth to that. But let's wait 2 months from now, John, and let's, heaven forbid, not hope, but keep open the possibility, dreadful though it be, that Putin takes Ukraine. And he's bragging that he absorbed not a Crimea or an eastern Ukraine, but a whole country. And now he's on the borders of, once again, he's on the borders of Poland and Romania and Hungary, and he's very close to Austria and Czech Republic and Germany. And at that point, what will be the reaction when he says, you're very cold next winter, and I'm not going to, and you want my natural gas? And oh, by the way, I have decided that you cannot have this particular type of offensive weapon in your NATO country. And after his performance, if it's successful in Ukraine, it'll be curious to see if the Germans either are able, as the richest nation in NATO and the second largest in its population, are they able to say, no, we adhere to what we told you a year ago or 3 months ago. Our army is determined to repel you if you come in. We have NATO allies, and we don't need your energy. We don't want it. I don't know if that's going to be possible for them to reverse a 30-year mentality in a matter of months. I hope it is. And I think the United States can do them a great service by helping them. But you make another very good point, and it's been widely, I've been very surprised how aware Americans are of it. It breaks down left on right here. The left says to people, the existential enemy is Ukraine, and Russia. I mean, the Russians in Ukraine. And these crazy conservatives are still talking about the real threat is China. And the conservative says, well, Putin, we have to deal with him, but he only has 40 million people, and his economy is small, is 1/10 the size of NATO. And NATO's aggregate economy, and NATO has 1 billion people. So if you look at wherewithal, China versus Russia, it's China. And the problem we have with this on the conservative side is that Russia is a very primitive propagandist. You know better than I do, John. In every Western movie, the villain these days is a white Russian with gaps in his teeth, covered with Orthodox tattoos, with a bad accent, pitted against some Hollywood young starlet. And so it's easy to see how primitive and caricatured Russian propaganda efforts are. China's a different story. China's insidious. They have really tapped into the woke agenda, and you dare criticize them, And on Monday, they will say you're racist and you're continuing a long Western tradition of the Yellow Peril or Japanese in prison camps during World War II. And then on Tuesday, some CEO, a Michael Bloomberg, a Mark Zuckerberg, a Bill Gates, a Jamie Dimon, or somebody in Wall Street will sort of subtly say, the Chinese aren't bad. And then on Wednesday, the NBA or Hollywood will say, well, we have a huge market, or we have endorsements, or they're working well with us in joint ventures. So there's just so much more devious and effective propagandists and more powerful that I think you're wise that we have to be very, very careful by thinking that once Putin is contained, we're home free. And in China, they've been very brilliant in their reaction to Ukraine. The first moment they came out with ostensible support, and then they scanned the horizon, shocked of the European and the American and the other Western response. They pulled back from Putin a little bit, but not enough to put them in a position not to go back and approve of him if he wins. And so now they're sitting on the sidelines, giving mixed signals, watching the pulse of the battlefield. If he loses, they're going to say it's outrageous and we warned him not to do this and we don't agree in this territorial acquisition. But if he wins, they're going to fault the West for it and say this is he had a right to go into Ukraine because of Russian speakers, and you know where that's going to go vis-a-vis Taiwan.